Hi, welcome back to my channel. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm trying to get back into making videos about the latest news. A lot has happened since. One thing of note that I want to talk about is Teofimo Lopez. So one reason I'm really excited about him becoming world champion is because he's a paisan of mine. He's from Honduras. I'm from Honduras, or he's actually not from Honduras, but his heritage is Honduran. His father's actually from Honduras. So he recently became, I think it's IBF champion of the world when he beat Richard Comey. It was a good fight. He knocked him out in the first or second. I think it was the second. I might be wrong though, but that was huge for me and my people. They don't even I don't even think they realized that Honduran just became world champion. There's never been like a world champion to come out of Honduras. Even though like he is a descendant, he's from Brooklyn originally. So I know Latinos have a thing about they don't really consider you Latino unless you were born in Latin America. So there's that, but whatever, it's close enough. He's Honduran enough for me. So I've seen the kid actually a number of times, like 3 times. The first time I saw him was when I was in Honduras. I was training at the Olympic Center, just because everybody can train there. You don't even have to be part of the Olympic team to go there. You just pay a membership fee, and you get to see like everybody who does participate in the Olympic team. So there was this whole like thing about him not making it to the United States Olympic team because even though he did win the Olympic trials, they gave the position to this other kid called Carlos Balderas. So I don't know why they gave it to Carlos. I think he did good in like some world championship amateur tournament. It's a lot of politics in it, really confusing stuff. But anyway, so they denied Lopez his place on the United States team. So Lopez, who's still qualified for the Olympics, could be used to represent some other country, and the only other country he could use was Honduras. So he used his Honduran passport, went to Honduras, and represented Honduras in the Olympics. And that's where I met him the first time, was where he was doing like some photo shoot, talking to reporters. And since I was the only kid that could like speak English with him at the time, he actually had like a decent conversation with me. And he just told me about his amateur resume, like having won the Golden Gloves and whatnot. So he talked a lot about basically his career. So that was the first time I met him. And then the second time, third time was in New York, before he had his professional fights with, forget who I saw him fight, but actually I don't even think he fought those nights. I think he was just there keeping an eye on Lomachenko, because when I went to see the fights in New York, they were actually to see Lomachenko as the main event. So obviously, like everybody knows about the whole deal between Lomachenko and Teofimo. Teo's looking for Loma. He's trying to fight him and get his belts, and Loma's actually like getting rather annoyed with this dude calling him out so much. And my opinion on that is Loma is a beast. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't know, either him or Crawford are at the moment, either of them could be pound for pound best in the world right now. It's between the two of them. Tio, I think he's like, man, the thing is, Loma just destroyed Rigo. Loma destroyed Nicholas Walters. Loma schooled Gary Russell Jr. I mean, these are guys that are like at the top, like top. Like these are A-level fighters. I think Tio, like even though he won really spectacularly as well, I think he's just like still like untested, and like we just don't know enough whether he has a good chance against Loma. I mean, like Rio didn't stand a chance. Nicholas Walters didn't stand a chance. Jorge did good against Loma. I actually caught him with surprise with a knockdown. And that's the only chance I think at the moment we can consider giving Lopez is his power. I mean, when you have power, you stand a chance to the very last second. As people saw with the Wilder versus Fury fight, in the last like minute, he knocked him down, and everybody thought Fury was out, but then he like got back to his feet like a zombie. That was crazy. But yeah, that's my point. So I think at the moment, the only thing that can like save Lopez in that fight would be his power. But the thing is, Lomachenko is just unhittable for the most part. He's unhittable. So there's rules to this, you know, like you don't box a boxer, you don't fight a fighter, and this and that. So I don't know. Teo's gonna have to bring something to the table that Lomachenko hasn't seen before, and that's almost impossible because Loma's had like 400 amateur fights, you know, and he's only lost one, avenged it 3 times, and that loss was controversial. He did lose to Salido in the pros, his second pro fight, but that was a dumb risk. Aaron was trying to set Salido up. Salido knew this. Salido came in overweight, sure, and he fought like a dickhead, like throwing low blows, headbutts, anything he could like fucking use to his advantage. Yeah, Salido should have lost, and Loma should have won. I mean, at least 1 point should have been deducted from Salido, in which case Loma would have won that fight, but it didn't happen. But it did provide some like really useful, I don't know, information as to like what gives Loma trouble. And what gives Loma trouble is just awkwardness, like an awkward style like Salido had, like rough, gritty, unstoppable, like just he wants to come in like a bull rush you and just put you on the ropes and manhandle you. You need to be strong. You need to be like physically strong. That's why Salido came in overweight. Like he felt like, you know, like he must have felt fantastic. Like he had no weight issues, no drain issues, like hydration issues. He just went in there with his guns loaded, feeling 100%, used all of his strength. Like he came in at like a natural weight, is what I'm trying to say. So he was able to take advantage of that over Lomachenko, who obviously had to make weight. And making weight, you owe it to the other dude to make weight. But that night, Salido was just trying to... Salido didn't give a fuck about a belt. And Salido was there to win, which he did. So I kind of respect that, you know. So this... is Teofimo better than Salido? That's kind of like a loaded question. It's not about like being better in what aspect. You gotta ask, like, how is he better? Is he better at doing what Salido does than Salido? Is he better at doing what Lopez does than Salido? Is Lopez stronger physically than Salido? I think that has to be the case. He has to be stronger than Salido in order to have a good chance against Loma. Loma is strong. Loma is just an all-around athlete. I mean, the guy, like, he's one of the greatest. He's perhaps the greatest amateur boxer of all time. He is a dancer, some Ukrainian traditional dancer kind of stuff. What else? He was into wrestling, I think like Greco-Roman wrestling or judo or some stuff of those. You can see like videos of it when he was like little doing those. But he's just an athlete. He's just like very like used to just like combat sports, I guess, and like the dancing just helped him out with the footwork, I guess. But so that's going to be an interesting story as it develops, you know. So Lomachenko's not the only name being thrown at Lopez right now. There's also Carlos Balderas, who I actually got really interested in what's going on in like the dynamic story that's progressing, you know, like so far. I hope that makes sense. Dynamic story. I don't know. The shit keeps changing. Shit keeps changing between these two, you know, because Carlos, for instance, he did represent the United States in the Olympics. So ever since that, they became like rivals. Lopez ascended quickly compared to Carlos, who I think, like, I don't know who his promoter is. I forget who his promoter is. I know Lopez's promoter is Bob Arum. Balderas' promoter is some clown. I forget who. But he fights for PBC. So I guess Al Heyman's like his manager or whatever. Not necessarily his promoter, I think though. But Balderas fought like a month ago, like 3 weeks ago to 4 weeks ago, against some Mexican guy. Mind you, Carlos Balderas is like Mexican descent, but like I said, like Latinos, pure-blooded Latinos who were born in like other countries, they got like strict fucking rules when it comes to like, can you call yourself Mexican, Honduran, this and that. Like you have to be born there and live there and all that garbage. Like if you aren't, they considered you like Mexicans born in Mexico will consider a Chicano, like Mexican descent dude born in like California, they'll consider them like watered down tequila. And there's some truth to that, there's some truth to that. I find that Mexicans born in Mexico are actually better fighters than descendants born in like LA, like Oscar de la fucking Hoya. I hate that dude, but whatever. Anyway, Balderas fought a real Mexican. The real Mexican ended up TKOing Balderas, and the interesting thing is that like Balderas was supposed to win that fight. That was a huge upset that just happened, and Balderas, like when he got saved by the ref, you could just hear him how he like hugged the ref and just screamed no. I was really excited because I just don't like the kid. The kid's like very cocky, or he overly does it. I usually don't have a problem with cockiness because like the sport you do, cockiness sells, cockiness helps the sport, but like there's a right way to do it, there's a wrong way to do it. He did it the wrong way, like cheesy shit, saying cheesy stuff. Like he had a saying, like a motto, no hype, no hype needed. It's like the lamest fucking thing I've ever heard. But anyway, all right. But yeah, he would talk shit about Teofimo Lopez a lot. Like he posted some shit on his YouTube titled Teo Homo the Pelican versus Carlos Balderas. It was like a sparring match. Balderas filmed one round, and I guess you could say his highlight, the only reason he uploaded that bullshit was because he caught Teofimo with like a stiff jab that I don't think it hurt Teofimo Lopez, but I just think it pushed him backwards through the ropes, and it was just an awkward like moment there, but I don't think he hurt him. But anyway, and in fact, Teofimo Lopez did good that sparring match, catching him and whatnot. But anyway, once you're past the amateurs and you're in the pros, it's a whole different game. You can't depend on bullshit like that. So this rivalry going on, it might continue or it might have ended with Carlos getting TKO'd by this Mexican dude. Mexican dude threw some hooks, some powerful hooks that caught Balderas right in the chin. And what's interesting about that fight was because that Balderas was, he was doing all the right things, but not right enough. Meaning like, his defense against the hook. Obviously, he was lifting up his right arm to block, but there's this much gap here was all it took for that hook to catch his chin and end the fight. He got knocked down like 3 times. So that's why this sport, man, like you can't afford to make any small mistakes. So we learned a number of things. We learned that Carlos doesn't have a great chin. We learned that Carlos is susceptible to sloppy hooks, because those were sloppy hooks, don't get me wrong. They were powerful but sloppy hooks. 3, he's not ready for the world-class level yet. And 4 is he probably won't be able to take Teofimo's power, So I think we can deduce who is the better fighter from that alone. Okay. I'm gonna have to end the video here just because I don't want it to go over the limit and not be able to upload this. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, or at least thought I made some good points. If I didn't, feel free to discuss it with me in the comment section. I'm glad you guys are watching this with me. I'm glad to be back. Have a good day, guys.